The Detroit Pistons and six-time NBA All-Star Blake Griffin have agreed to sit Griffin until they can work out a resolution on his playing future. Now, there is a caveat here, and that's just how much money Griffin is owed through the next few years. $36.6 million this season and $39 million in 21 through 22. All right, Max, we hate to be insulting here, but the question has to be asked, is Blake Griffin really just a high-priced role player at this point?
Of course. And that's a killer for me to say. I remember when he broke in, I was out in L.A., Stephen A., when he first, he had that rookie season where he was hurt, and then he came out his second year, his first fully season playing, and he was one of the most spectacular players I've ever seen. I'll tell my grandkids if they ask, who are the most spectacular players you've ever seen? I will remember a young Blake Griffin. He was like that. But, yeah, he's done as an elite player or even a good player. Jalen Rose on Countdown, Stephen A. brought this up. This dude hasn't dunked since 2019. 2019. I mean, do you remember when Barack Obama, back in the day, President Obama said he wanted Blake to develop a 15-footer, right? Because all he did was dunk. He hasn't dunked in 2 calendar years. So you take that away from Blake Griffin, and what is he now? He's a high-priced role player, extremely high-priced. And what role does he even fill? He's never been a defender. He's just not built that way, not like one of these long-armed, wiry defenders, right? He shoots a lot of threes, but he doesn't hit them at nearly an acceptable rate. He's not a great rebounder or anything like that because he doesn't have the hops anymore. What does he do? He's a high-priced role player. I wish him the best, but if you're going to ask me point blank, I don't mean to be insulting, but that is the truth.
I don't feel that way, Max Kellerman. I do believe that he's still a starter in this league, but I will concede he has not looked that way. And there's a perfectly logical explanation to it, Max. And again, I'm shocked that you would miss this. Max, enthusiasm does have a lot to do with how you perform from time to time. If your interest is here, you perform at a peak level. If it's down here, and when you look at Blake Griffin, to be in Southern California, which is where I am now, by the way, and it's La and it's the palm trees, Max, and all of those different things, Max Kellerman, and you turn around and you're in Detroit, Michigan, which last I checked just suffered like 9 inches of snow today, and it's just not the same, Max. I mean, you're just not the same. So, if you're depressed and you're just not interested in all of that other stuff, I mean, that's hard. That's hard. Now, here's what I will say. I've never liked to see Blake Griffin shooting jumpers. You're a big enough boy. You got hop still. Take it to the hole, go in the post, do what you got to do instead of faking like LeBron James slapped you in the face and being on the flop reels and all of this other stuff. Go out there and be that man amongst boys. But I do believe that if you're in a situation that you're not happy with and you're miserable and it's tough pulling yourself out of bed to get up to work in the morning, I do think that it's tough. It could be tough for you to perform on a night and night out best. Remember, last year he only played 18 games. He was injured last year. So it was the year before that he had dunked like Jalen Rose accurately pointed out. And this year, in the first 20 games or so, that hasn't been the case, and he's resigned himself to shooting jump shots or whatever. Me personally, I think he could go back to the Clippers and help. But guess what? In order to do that, you know what he needs to do? Apologize to owner Steve Ballmer. Because when the man stands near midcourt waiting for you to finish shoot around, just to shake your hand and to say hello to you, and you just run off and disrespect them like you did, that was completely uncalled for, it was unprofessional, and it was unnecessary. Yeah, the man traded you and what have you, but what have you done to show him that he's wrong? Since you've been in Detroit, you've done nothing to show Steve Ballmer that he was wrong for moving on and moving in a different direction from you. So I think those are the kind of things that we need to think about. But do I think that Blake Griffin could go back to the Clippers and help the Clippers? Yeah, I think he could do it. I think he can. I don't want to see him on the Lakers. I don't think that's the right way for him to go.
I think that's a great idea.
But the Clippers, yeah.
I think that's that's a nice story to tell. Like, I like that story if he could go back to the Clippers and be a part of something there and bring it back to where it started, right? But as a role player, as a high-priced role player, like, that's just the truth, Stephen A. I don't care how much of a pep in your step is taken out from going from Southern California to Detroit, right? And I love Detroit, but I get it. The weather's not as good, all that. It ain't going to take the pep out your step to take you from one of the most spectacular dunkers of all time and most electrifying players, period, into being a dude who, like, let's put it this way. He's the starting power forward on a team that loses more than twice as much as it wins. And that's my point. If Blake Griffin is your starting power forward, you're going to lose twice as much as you win. He's not that player anymore.
It depends on the team you're on.
I take no pleasure in saying that. It's what he is nowadays.
It depends on the team you're on. I definitely think you can still win with Blake Griffin. He don't need to be the focal point. He don't even need to be a top 2 option. But I do think that he's a starting forward in this game if he's interested in playing. I think what you're seeing in Detroit, unless he's not healthy, what you're seeing in Detroit is a man that is completely disinterested in playing for the Pistons organization. That's what I see right now. My man Troy Weaver on telling those boys they'll get together, but he doesn't want to be there.
I mean, I can't really blame him. You compare LA to Detroit, big difference there. But we look at the shots he's taking, not taking as many dunks this season, but according to Second Spectrum, his average distance of his shot is 18 feet this season. That is 4 feet longer than the likes of Chris Paul's, also Kevin Durant. So he's got some long distance in him.
All
right, guys,
Charlie,
let's wrap it here. We have some. This is true. This is true. All right, guys, back to the NFL we go. Dak Prescott still in search of that.
Let him chill out, like Detroit evidently is doing with Blake Griffin until you make a move. For him to sit on a bench in street clothes when he's perfectly healthy, averaging what he's averaging, 15 points, 13 rebounds a game, etc. It's not a scrub. This is not a dude that's not healthy. This is not a dude that's not ready to play. Why didn't you play him? And if you're not going to play him, let him go home. But to have him come on the bench, sit there in street clothes, and all under the guise of professionalism because we're in this together and we're going to move you, etc., it still makes you look bad. It subjects you to a level of embarrassment, as Draymond Green pointed out, that's completely unnecessary. And if a player decides, guess what, I don't want to play. Think about it. Put it to you this way, Max. What if James Harden or even Andre Drummond or Blake Griffin sat up there and literally said, I want out. So I'm going to be with the team. And I'm going to sit on the bench, but I'm not playing because I want out of here. Everybody would have lost their damn mind. Who the hell does that player think he is? But the team can do it, and it's not a problem. That's what Draymond Green was trying to explain. And that's not really about the teams. It's not really about the players. It's really about us as the fourth estate, as members of the media, as individuals who disseminate a commentary and punditry about a particular player, whatever. He's like, where's the consistency? And I think Draymond Green makes a very, very valid point when he says that. Because there isn't consistency when it comes to the players.
I mean, Stephen A., I think you opened up a whole can of worms, like a whole slew of issues to discuss.
What I do.
But I would say, first of all, let's start with the fourth estate to begin with. You know, we are the fourth estate. When you talk about the most influential sports talk shows, you know, here we are on First Take. You're defending Draymond's point of view.
Absolutely.
When James Harden wanted to be traded, I got on TV and told the Rockets, you're going to have to trade him. Don't drag this out. Let's not be foolish. James Harden's going to get what he wants. You know, I wouldn't say that the fourth estate has fallen down and simply excoriated the players and not held the teams accountable. The other bigger issue to me is the racial component. As I said yesterday when it came to the NFL and the Jaguars situation, there is an enormous overlap with labor issues and racial issues in this country and in sports leagues. When you said black men, largely the players, right? When we say labor, the players, we are referring to predominantly African-American men in this country, right? That's what we're talking about, not the foreign-born players. The ownership level is almost, with the exception of Michael Jordan, exclusively white. And by the way, Jordan gets to be an owner. It's like what Chris Rock said about his neighbor being a dentist. You know, Chris Rock, one of the most successful people in the world, his neighbor is a white dentist. He said, in order for that if my neighbor were a black dentist, he would have had to invent teeth in order to live in my neighborhood, right? So the point is, the one owner that's not white is the greatest athlete who ever lived. So yes, the owners who get to make these decisions and come out clean are almost exclusively white, and the players who are forced to use methods that can turn the public and press against them are usually African American. There is a racial overlap there,
I'm going to put it
obviously.
simpler and shorter for you. You're not entirely correct there, because before Michael Jordan became the owner of the Charlotte Hornets, he was a minority owner.